Well, welcome back to the Riverside Stadium for what was a 5-star performance from Middlesbrough, who recorded a 5-1 victory over Watford. It really didn't look like it was going to be a game that would go that way after the first half. It really seemed like a match that was going to go similarly to previous home games where we'd score a goal and then struggle, but the second half Middlesbrough really came alive, really putting in a sort of swashbuckling attacking performance, the sort that we've seen under Kim Hellberg previously. And it was great to see us get a few goals in near the back of the net, which we'll talk about in just a second. So Middlesbrough made a few changes going into this one. Of course, Friday night saw Millwall drop points. Ipswich were playing at the same time as Middlesbrough, so it meant that there was a really big opportunity for Middlesbrough to go out there and try and claim 3 points to keep the pressure on in the pursuit of a top 2 finish. Of course, Middlesbrough hoping to gate crash the top 2 after falling out of contention in the last few weeks. It seems most likely that we'll be challenging for the playoffs, and I think that's something which is pretty much accepted at Middlesbrough. But still, with the teams dropping points left, right and centre around us, it does seem like Middlesbrough could still be in contention going into the last match of the season against Wrexham next weekend. It could be a really interesting occasion based on how results have gone today. So Middlesbrough made a couple of changes. Sonjay Hansen came in, made his first start since November. There was a really strong bench for Middlesbrough with Matt Targett, Dale Fry, Tommy Conway all dropping to the bench, and it's meant that for Middlesbrough we had Sarmiento, we had Morgan Whittaker playing, David Strelec playing as a lone striker, Alex Bangura coming in at left back, and it did sort of look like a team that was gearing up for the playoffs, to be honest. The first half was quite poor, you've got to say. Middlesbrough took the lead after 6 or 7 minutes with Morgan Whittaker scoring an absolutely brilliant free kick from around about 30 yards, put it right in the top corner, a real absolute stunner. Probably one of Middlesbrough's goals of the season, to be honest, and definitely the best goal that Morgan Whittaker scored for us, because it was a really top quality strike. To be honest, it was one which certainly got fans off their feet and had us thinking that maybe this could be a really good afternoon. But the rest of the first half didn't quite go that way. Middlesbrough seemed to drop deep, seemed to invite pressure. Watford came very close on a couple of occasions. They whipped a free kick just round the post. They hit the post. Looked like a good shot that hit the inside of the post, but on reflection at half time I saw that it was actually a really good save from Saul Bryn, which tipped it onto the post, which could be an absolutely crucial moment. And in the final knockings of the first half, Middlesbrough did get a second goal through David Strelec, really scruffy goal, but it doesn't really matter, putting it in the back of the net to sort of put us at ease, really, giving us a 2-goal advantage. And hopefully the plan was that would make the second half a bit of a cruising sort of mission. But Watford did get a goal back early in the second half just to get those nerves going, but then Middlesbrough did really just kick on as the second half unfolded. The afternoon ended with Morgan Whittaker scoring 2, David Strelec getting his goal, and Tommy Conway, who came off the bench, he grabbed 2 as well, one from the penalty spot and another a really good finish as well from open play to make it 5-1 to Middlesbrough. A really comprehensive victory, and one which, in my opinion, it was the perfect afternoon and the perfect result for Middlesbrough. I think I've just been feeling that Middlesbrough have needed this sort of result. We've needed a sort of a typical Kim Hellberg victory, really, where we're scoring goals for fun. Yes, we got the 1-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday, and that was a really good boost. It was great to end that winless run. Great to see a victory at the Riverside Stadium. I'm sure fans really appreciated it, but we weren't at our best. It was really cagey. It was quite nervy. Middlesbrough were quite poor against Sheffield Wednesday side, who on negative points as well. So it wasn't a performance that inspired confidence, even though we did get the 3 points, and you just sort of felt that we just kind of needed that sort of breakthrough performance, that breakthrough victory, to really get confidence firing ahead of what the next couple of weeks will bring, whatever that will be. And against Watford were a side who were sort of there for the taking. Yeah, they had threatening moments, they pushed forward, but really at the back they looked like they were there for the taking. If Middlesbrough could just put themselves forward, if we could just sort of kind of break out of that malaise, that sort of lethargy that we kind of had in the first half, it really did sort of feel that Middlesbrough could kick on and do exactly what they did, which was secure a 5-1 victory. So that was a big boost for us in terms of our goal difference, which was great. Ipswich played West Brom at lunchtime, and they were held as well. So it means that battle for automatic promotion is really tight. I was just looking at the table down in the press room before Kim Hellberg's press conference. Of course, Ipswich have still got a game in hand. They're going to be playing Southampton midweek. I think it's Tuesday night that they're going to be playing, and you're looking at it, and if Southampton beat Ipswich, you're talking about going into that last day of the season with two sides in Millwall and Ipswich on 80 points, and then two sides in Middlesbrough and Southampton on 79 points, so 1 point separating 4 teams, meaning it really could be all to play for going into that last day of the season. It all depends on Ipswich and how they got on against Southampton. If they can get a victory, then that would rule Middlesbrough out of it. But yeah, you wouldn't rule out Southampton. You wouldn't rule them out getting a result against Ipswich, because Ipswich are dropping points. They're far from the finished article. I know that Southampton have dropped points recently as well, but that's going to be a really interesting one, because it could tee up what will be a really dramatic final day of the other season. But here at the Riverside, it was a really great afternoon actually. It was one which was retro shirt day, lots of nostalgic Middlesbrough shirts in the other stands at the Riverside Stadium. There was that video a couple of days back of the players turning up for training in their retro Middlesbrough shirts, which was great. It was also a sort of family day, last day of the regular season, so Middlesbrough's players did a lap of honour around the pitch, thanking fans for their support this season and what's been a real whirlwind of a season, which isn't over yet. We don't know exactly how long it'll go on for from this point, but it's not over just yet. And it was great to see the Middlesbrough players and their families, and Kim Hellberg and his kids on the pitch and celebrating, kicking the ball around, celebrating in front of the Red faction. Yeah, brilliant scenes, real feel-good atmosphere at the Riverside, and exactly what you need. I mean, after a 5-1 victory, it was all good, really, as far as you can see here. I don't think that would have hit the same way had Middlesbrough fallen to a 1-0 defeat, or been held to a 1-1 draw against Watford and had confidence not been quite as high. But the fact that we were able to get that 5-1 victory was really, really impressive. Kim Hellberg came into his press conference absolutely delighted that Middlesbrough got their rewards, similar to what I'm saying, just very happy that we were able to put in the sort of performance where we could kind of run riot. I think that'll be massive for our confidence going into those playoff games. I asked Kim Hellberg about Tommy Conway and David Strelec, and if he'd done anything specific with them to improve their confidence, because of course they've both been on the score sheet over the last week. Middlesbrough's attack looking a lot more potent than what it did maybe a couple of weeks ago, and he was just emphasising how hard the two of them have been working. They're both really good characters by all accounts, really hard working players. Tommy Conway has always been a real fan favourite, a favourite in terms of his work ethic, a favourite with Kim Hellberg. He's always been a massive lover of Tommy Conway. David Strelec works hard behind the scenes as well. A really hard-working player, someone who's, of course, had his fitness issues. It's been a far from straightforward season for him, but what Kim Hellberg was saying was that both of those players have been putting in the hard yards behind the scenes to improve their final ball, their output, and of course we're seeing the rewards from that as well now with those goals against Ipswich, and then of course their goals this afternoon against Watford as well. And you just sort of feel like that could be really, really important for Middlesbrough going into the next week or so. Of course, we could be in for a blockbuster final day against Wrexham, depending on how that match between Ipswich and Southampton goes midweek. If not, we're mathematically secured to be in the playoffs at least. So there's the likelihood, probably the probability, that we're going to be having another couple of games, a home and away leg at the very least, so at least one more Riverside night or day, depending on how the draw falls. But you just sort of think that with David Strelec and Tommy Conway and Morgan Whittaker, who of course scored against Sheffield Wednesday as well, that's 3 goals in 2 games for him. He got an assist today as well for David Strelec's goal. So you just sort of feel like with those 3 players on form, finding the back of the net, it can only be a good thing for Middlesbrough as we look to go into those playoff games, because I think the last couple of weeks confidence has dipped, and that's just been because we haven't had players to put the ball in the back of the net. But now that we seem to have found that goal scoring touch, it does seem to have come at the perfect time for us as we go into that final day of the season against Wrexham, and then what will probably be a playoff campaign, which of course will be extremely high stakes. So I'll be doing a bit more of a review on this game and looking ahead to the Wrexham game in the next few days. I've also put a video up of the Middlesbrough lap of honour of the players celebrating with the fans, which was really, really wholesome, a really nice moment, and sort of ended the regular season at the Riverside Stadium in a really positive way. So do check that out on the channel. If you have enjoyed this Please do hit like, please do hit subscribe. There's going to be plenty more coming, and I will catch up with you later this week to preview the Wrexham game. Up the Boro.